Welcome back, gang. It's D to the G and Gilliam Millie, and we're here to do a video on the Stam Templar DPS. So the Harvester upgrade. Yeah, look at that emote. Look at that kitty. Here, kitty, kitty. So basically, what Gil does is uses a SARS spreadsheet to calculate like the best, most optimal DPS for a specific class based on what abilities they use. So certain classes have more or less dots than others. Am I right, Gil?
Yep. Every class has a unique bar setup. I mean, obviously there's like a rough estimate, like everyone uses rapid strikes, stuff like that, that good stuff. But every class has special amps or special class abilities that really add the flavor in, which changes how CP is allocated.
So my Templar doesn't use rapid strikes, which is the one stand build that doesn't because of burning light. And now that's considered my jabs is considered a dot as well, since there's no like upfront damage. It's just strictly damage over time. So that could change things as well. And the proccing of burning light here. Now burning light scales off of what is it, weapon damage or magic
And
damage
stamina.
now. Yeah, so that was a big change to this patch, making the Stam Templar do a lot more damage. We're just going to clear the trash, and what we're going to do is the usual blood spawn. It's a pure single target boss fight up here. And we're going to take out all of the CP. And then we're going to get a couple tests here. One's going to be FTC, and then I'm also going to do the combat metrics as well. Now that we got trash clear, I'm going to go ahead and unspec my CP. Now I'm going to obviously use my regeneration and stuff from a Redguard. So we're going to take out all of anything to do with damage, except that. Now, Gil, you're not going to be using guard, correct?
Oh, you don't want me to? Sure.
Just to keep no buffs. And so what Gil's going to do is do the Undaunted taunt, radiate, so that way we don't get absolutely any buffs possible here. So inner fire, I'm not going to hit the synergy because the default one here, puncture, will reduce the physical damage. So this is truly, truly self-buff. Now we can ramp it up and do some other tests with different buffs and debuffs applied, like Spell Power Cure, Major Fracture. I'll be applying Minor Fracture, Alkosh, Night Mothers, so on and so forth. But this true self-sustained DPS. Okay? Ready?
Yep.
Ready when you're. I'm not going to talk, I'm just going to deeps.
Alright, pulling.
Alright, I'm ready. Are you going to drop card?
I don't have guard on my bar, it's just the UI error, or the visual error. Like, if you open up your character sheet, you don't have it. Yep, exactly.
Let me just... That's good.
Alright, pulling.
Ready. Alright, so there's the damage. I did a couple glitches, but not really. So let me pull up buff timers here as well and do side-by-side screenshot.
Yeah, just make sure you get all of the damage abilities and you send them to me.
Okay, so I got two screens with all of the damage abilities. I missed power light a couple times, so we look. Minor force was 74%, so that needs to be improved on. But hey, major savagery and major fertility stayed on. Now I think we're going to see a monster boost with CP since we're obviously using 2 Munda Stones.
Yeah.
Okay, send it to Gil and let's get some math then. Okay, Gilly, the Macmillan here cranked out some math, and he's going to explain using a SARS guide, which I'll link in the video description, what he used in determining this setup. So, Gil, what do you use about figuring out CP?
So I use the Sayers spreadsheet as a guideline, and then I do some additional math on my part where I change some of our variables since we use different calculations to calculate the importance of penetration versus critical strike rating and all that stuff. So you can use this guide. It's going to get you a really solid number. There might be a few changes here and there, but pretty much what I do is I take someone's parse, whatever fight they want to use it on, AoE, single target. Usually you use blood spawn. I add up all of their damage sources that go on through the fight, like light attacks, abilities, enchantments, all that sort of good stuff. And then I take important things like their critical strike chance, their critical strike multiplier, buffs going on in the group like aggressive Warhorn uptime, things like Night Mother's Gaze. I look at penetration values of the target, so like if you're using sharpened or versus precise, all that sort of stuff. And then once I divide things into elemental and physical damage and then break each of those down into dots, non-dots, and then weapon damage such as light attack or heavy attack, since there are different trees in CP that buff those, punch that all into a spreadsheet, and then it gives me a CP guide of the optimal mathematical values of where you should spend your points. And obviously we're going to be using a 501 CP calculator here since that's what the cap is right now and that's what we're at.
All right, cool. So it's not just a one size fits all thing, which is important to know. It's based on you, your group, your gear, a lot of different factors. So you can get a one size fits all CP, but it's not going to work for everyone. Okay.
Yeah, that's a very important to mind is that I will almost always suggest different CP based on people I work with. I will never give a this is the best sort of thing because there's no such thing. Everyone's different. Everyone has different reaction timing, different rotation maybe, stuff like that. And that all plays a very big role in finding the min-maxed values.
Okay, from my slow fingers, what'd you come up with?
Right, so I have 100 into Mighty, 7,
100.
yeah, 7 into Piercing, 28 into Precise Strikes,
The twice born though.
and then 32 into Thaumaturge.
Okay, so that's a lot more in precise strikes than I originally thought. Okay.
Yeah, and that's
And
because Major Force is multiplicative, so since we're not going to do a super min-max trial group with 100% Major Force uptime, I assumed only a 30% uptime, so I did a 30% times 30% to find the value of how much critical hit damage that aggressive Warhorn would be giving you, which is 9%. So I took your critical hit damage modifier, added it all up together based on that sort of stuff, and then multiplied it by 1.009, which is 1 being your original crit hit damage modifier without Warhorn, and then the 9% of the uptime from the 30% that it would have normally given. Then it gives you that. Now the thing is why it's so high in there is because that 30% applies to your crit hit damage, that means the more crit hit damage you have, the stronger Warhorn becomes. Warhorn scales both with critical strike chance and critical strike damage, which is very important to keep in mind.
you're talking about aggressive due to the buff with the
Yeah,
major
aggressive
force.
Warhorn. Major Force, very correct, yeah.
Okay. Another thing about Warhorn you guys should know is that major force lasts 10 seconds, the entire duration lasts 30. So a fully optimized trial group will be looking for that 10-second duration rather than the 30. Okay, let's go clear trash and see what the CP did. And now we see the power of Gilly Macmilly's mathematics. It's no stam DK, but 27,000 single target DPS self-buffed. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's almost a 10k increase just from CP.
So no difference in rotation. I may have done it a little faster, just, you know, practicing wise, but you can see the buffs on the right. It just really, really, really added up. So minor force, 5 seconds left. So let's do one last thing to this. We're gonna do to show you how important major and minor force is. I'm missing 20% on my minor force, just not keeping up rearming trap as well as I should. But let's see what happens when we have 100% minor force and we throw in some aggressive warhorns here to see if we can get that 30k mark, and also a debuff to the boss's armor of 5200. So let's see if those three things there can push us over the top. Okay, so I don't have it on my screen, the ability, but basically Stalwart Guard from the Alliance support, where is it? Guard. Stalwart gives the target your minor force the entire time, or excuse me, yeah, minor force. So right here, I have to stay within 15 meters, but that should increase my uptime to high end of the 90s. Aggressive Warhorn, the Alliance War skill here, is going to give me 10% more stamina for 30 seconds. That's going to be a big part of my damage, and then also 9.5 seconds of major force, 30% more critical damage. Now, I'm still going to maintain rearming trap, and people, you know, laugh at that, but the amount of dot damage that this does is staggering. So it's still a really good, powerful dot we want to maintain. And we're going to keep it on our bar as well, just because of the Fighters Guild passive here. Now slotting it gives extra weapon damage. So real quick, buffed with this setup. I'm use a weapon power potion in my buff stats. So I'm at almost 37k stamina. 3,700 weapon damage, that's not minor brutality, 75% critical. This thing is a juggernaut. So let's see what it can do here. You ready?
Yep. Alright, make sure you hold your ultimate until I call for it, so he gets in position.
Okay.
Please stick with me though, so our doesn't break.
Wow. That
see
added a lot of DPS, boys.
Wow. 6k DPS.
So when we're building a group, we're building a team, we're building a trials group, these are the things that we factor in. Aggressive Warhorn was up 64%. Minor force, it does say 67. I don't know if that's bugged because it seemed like a lot more than that. And I did have rearming trap, so that's weird that it shows kind of a different image for it. But look how much more DPS that was. 33.5 with just 3 more buffs. So these are the things that Gil is a master at doing. Figuring out the math, the mechanics behind things, and optimizing not just one build, but the group's build. Now imagine if you have a group centered around this type of mathematical behavior using very specific rotations and buffs so that everyone benefits. Throwing in Alkosh, Sunderflame, more aggressive Warhorns, very specific debuffs and buffs to get you stamina and magicka back. This is how you rip it and grip it. Okay, so thanks for watching this video. Gil and I do have a private tutoring thing. I'm going to link that if you want information on that and something like that we do, breaking down builds like this more individually. Otherwise, we wanted to kind of show you, you know, how he's the brains behind everything. I just push the buttons loudly. Thanks so much for watching. I'll also link his YouTube videos channel in there as well if you want more detailed high-end level DPS builds. Subscribe, like, share, tell everyone about it. Gilly Macmilly, D to the G. It's real.